Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Hastings College campus as we announce the construction of the new Art Center. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Kim and Tom Dinsdale, parents of Michael Dinsdale and the late Jackson Dinsdale. Also with us today, Turner McGee, Professor of Art, Kyle Beeman, a senior art major from Grand Island, Nebraska, Teresa Drogi, Vice President of the Hastings College Student Association, architects, community members, and friends. Thank you all for being here. In the spring of 2015, Hastings College will begin construction on a $6.5 million state-of-the-art facility which will serve as the new home for our art department. Made possible through a $5 million legacy leadership gift from the late Jackson Dinsdale and announced by his parents, Kim and Tom, the 25,000 square foot facility will be located just north of where we're standing at the corner of 12th Street and Elm Avenue. Its name, the Jackson Dinsdale Art Center. I just have to share a couple of personal thoughts. Soon after I became president, Jackson set up a meeting with me to introduce himself. And a few days later, we got together and we met to discuss an issue which he felt very strongly about. He essentially said to me, "Don, our art department's in bad shape." He said, "I know you know that, but we need to do something about it." I just have to tell you, it was really a good meeting. It was very appropriate. And I was just touched by his sincerity and his willingness to come forward, meet with the new president, and share with me something that was important to him. I was really, really glad that I could assure him that the renovation and expansion of the art department was also a priority of mine, and that we'd been talking about it for some time. Jackson and I agreed to continue our conversation about the Art Center's future. After that, our paths would cross fairly frequently, whether it was as I would be going to and from the Doherty Center, and he, Jackson, to and from either the sculpture or the glass studio, or once in a while we'd meet in the student union. We'd always stop and chat. We'd exchange greetings, and he would share updates on some of his projects. You know, Jackson didn't stop by just asking me if I would get involved. He also had a conversation with his mom and dad. And here's his mom, Kim Dinsdale, who serves on the Hastings College Board of Trustees, to become involved with the campaign to fund the renovation and expansion of the current art facility. This put into motion plans to renovate the Art Center with new studios for sculpture and glass, areas of particular interest to Jackson, and a critical need for the art department. By late April, this year actually, nearly $250,000 had already been raised for the project. Jackson Dinsdale was a cool guy. And if he could be with us today, I think he'd find it fitting that the new Art Center will be located at a crossroads. His assessment of our current facility, the fact that it's not meeting the needs of our students, whether they're art majors or non-art majors, was absolutely correct. The current center was built in 1908 to serve as the college's library. It's now the second oldest building on campus and has dutifully filled the needs of the art department since the early 1960s. It will take on a new purpose that I might add, as yet undetermined, after the art department moves into the new facility. The Jackson Dinsdale Art Center will be everything Jackson could dream of and more. It'll feature expanded studios in which students can learn and work, classrooms equipped for the 21st century, gallery space for engaging the community, including school groups, K-12, and other Central Nebraska region parties, and of course, the expanded sculpture and glass studios. I can only imagine how pleased Jackson would be if he could see the plans that we're unveiling today. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Turner McGee, Professor of Art and Chair of the Art Department. Turner will expand on the importance of art as a field of study within the liberal arts and for our broader community. Turner joined the art faculty in 1983 and has chaired the art department since 2000. A graduate of Washington and Lee University, he earned his master's degree at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, where he focused on printmaking. Please join me in welcoming Turner McGee.
Thank you so much for joining us today. President Jackson, I noticed, used the phrase having crossed paths with Jackson Dinsdale. He used the word crossroads later, and this is a phrase that's very meaningful to me today, and always really as a teacher in the art department, because I believe that the art department is rightly one of the finest crossroads of all the liberal arts. When I look at the careers that our graduates have gone to, I think I can demonstrate this to you. Besides being painters and sculptors and glass blowers and art historians, art educators, the kinds of things that you might expect them to be, we have had among our graduates an art therapist, a medical illustrator, museum curator, a paleontologist, artist, the United States ambassador, the house manager for The Lion King on Broadway for 10 years, the most successful play in the history of the world. So I truly do think that we can be and are the crossroads of all the liberal arts. But I'm here today to talk about the building. About 10 years ago, the president of Hastings College talked to me and he said, "You know, Turner, the art building at a liberal arts college should be the most stunning building on campus." And I agreed with him. For 50 years, we've been in the Carnegie Library, which is possibly the most handsome building on our campus. It's a dignified building. It's got character. It's a good old funky building. And we've had a good time there. But it was never designed to be an art department. And it's really not very well fitted for it. I think we've developed a very good art department and a very good art program in a building that, in a sense, never fit us. And so that's why it's so exciting to me that now we will have a building that was designed from scratch for exactly the purpose that it's going to be used for. And so this is a new day for us, and it's going to be a really great time. Actually, my mind is very much on the impact that this building and our program will have on the community today. Hastings is an art town. It really is when you take stock of it. Some of Nebraska's most prominent artists actually live here now. Dave Stewart, for example. We're the home of one of the premier acoustic music venues in the entire country at the Art Center and the Listening Room. There's sculpture everywhere you look in this town. We're the hometown of Neil Hefti. Do you know who he is? For 20 years, Count Basie and Frank Sinatra's arranger. We're the hometown of Sheila Hicks, the world's most respected textile artist. Our little town of 20,000 people in the middle of the frozen tundra has a standing symphony orchestra. It's unbelievable. But these things are not widely known outside of Hastings. There are many people who don't think of Hastings as being an art town. You might say that that's partly because we're humble people here. Nebraskans are this way. We don't like to brag very much. But you know what? I think it's just okay to be a little bit loud. And I believe this building is going to be that. It's going to be a bold proclamation for art. This building is also going to be within Nebraska's great tradition of great architecture for great art. Look at the Sheldon Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska. Designed by Philip Johnson, probably the most adventurous architect of his generation. That is very possibly the finest piece of architecture in the state of Nebraska. The Joslin Museum in Omaha, one of the world's greatest examples of Art Deco. The Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. Have you ever seen a more perfectly repurposed building? I think our new building is also going to be in line with Frank Lloyd Wright's conception when he designed the Guggenheim Museum in New York City. That architecture in the service of art can actually become art. This building is going to be efficient, it's going to be useful, it's going to be a place where we want to work. I think it's going to be a building that our students deserve. And I believe that it's going to make a lasting impression as an impressive symbol for the arts in Hastings College. And now I'd like to introduce to you my colleague Tom Krieger, who has been truly visionary in the design and planning of this building and has been involved in this project since the very first day that it was thought of.
When you sit in the front row, you don't see how many people are out there. I don't normally get in front of crowds unless I've got the lights off, or the studio's blaring, or I'm doing an auction. So I'm going to start off here and show a slide. Here's some of my students and I were working. But I feel this is my comfort slide. Thanks, sir. Before I start, I want to thank Kim and Tom for your generous support of the new art building. I also want to thank Jackson for his support. He's been with me for a long time. I mean, kind of in my head, in my heart. And I think he'd really love the process we've gone through from this renovation to a new building. I think he would just be pleased as punch with that. When I first met Jackson, it was to turn him down to get into the beginning glass class because we're overfilled. It was a mistake. I should have let him in the class. As it turned out, he's one of my most thoughtful students. We've had, over time we've worked together. Over the time we've worked together, we had many conversations over various topics, art, life, all this kind of stuff. In fact, we've only had one problem in our conversation. And that's because he always called me sir. It's like, Jackson, that's my dad, I'm Tom. And it took me about 3 or 4 months before he finally came around to calling me by my first name. In the sculpture area, he had grand ideas. He always was trying to do pieces that were and are larger than the other students were doing. They were very complicated. He was pushing himself. I mean, I didn't have to do it. He was doing it to himself. There's a photograph of a deer there that he was doing, and it was a perfect example how it was larger than anything anyone else was doing. And it was, for me, it was very gratifying to see his friends and fellow students come together to complete that after Jackson had died. The story of this new building started when Kim first came to the college and she presented me with the first donation. I just about cried because it's a dream come true. I've been working here for 24 years and you always think we can do this. We've got, Turner and I used to talk like, we can do this, we need that. And so it was the beginning of that to come true. I think we'll have a chance to give the students and the Hastings College and the students a first-class facility. On my tenure at Hastings College, my glass and sculpture students have attended some of the top universities in the world, actually. They've attended graduate schools as far away as Australia, they've taught in Korea, they've taught in Japan, Germany, and kind of all over the place. Who would think with a little 600 square foot studio, that's where they started, they would get out and really kind of conquer the world. Excuse me. I have to read because the lights are on. If the lights weren't on, I could probably do this again. Now we're getting a new building. It is a dream come true for me. The TAC architects have designed a facility which will serve Hastings College, the art program, and our students very well. Every classroom will be equipped for our educational needs. The painting, drawing, and ceramic studios will have wonderful north light. The printmaking studio will have the space and ventilation for an uncrowded and safe working environment. In the multimedia studio, students will explore their interest in photography, animation, and video. We're going to have a critique room. Now that may not seem like much to you guys, but an area where the students can act, we walk around and we look at things on tables, on the floor, on the wall, outside the glass studio. It's a place they can actually present their work as if it was in a gallery, a show, with proper lighting and stuff. So we can really, I think we can give them more feedback and better feedback with this opportunity. The students will have dedicated studio spaces, which they've not been able to have before. Once again, they kind of work wherever they can find a table, space, a corner, the wall outside the glass studio, wherever they can do it. As Turner mentioned, this building is going to be a work of art. It's with the state-of-art facilities second to none in Nebraska. As a department, we'll have a spacious gallery suited for a variety of exhibitions. For the first time, we'll have a lobby and gathering area for receptions and events, at which our students, our artists, students, and guests can engage in discussions about our latest exhibits. As a glass artist, I can't help but be excited about our glass studio. It will be on par or better than any other college or university in the nation studio, where you're going to have, this is going to be an amazing facility. Its design it's outstanding and will allow for expanded demonstrations for students and the community. The sculpture studio will be unlike any I've ever seen in my travels. Its innovative design is going to open opportunities for students not to work at the same time. Right now we've got one welder, 10 students, they wait in line. Then they break it, they call me at 1 in the morning to come and fix it. Now they'll have 4 welders, but we're going to have a lot of wonderful metal working equipment, and it's going to be in a wood shop for once the students can use wood. It's going to be very exciting. So, Kim and Tom and Jackson, I want to thank you once again for your generosity and willingness to invest in our program. I've enjoyed working with you on this building and look forward to celebrating its opening. Now I'd like to introduce my friend and student, young Kyle. He's a senior art major from Grand Island, Nebraska. He's just an all-around great guy. Come on up here.
Thank you, Tom. Jackson and I first met in kindergarten at Grand Island Gates Elementary School. We hung out in and out of school, and although we attended different high schools, we stayed in contact. We'd spend hours debating the Second Amendment or just hanging out listening to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. It didn't matter whether we agreed or disagreed, whether we were in the same room or different locations. We just knew we'd be friends for life. During his campus tour at Hastings College, Jackson first saw the glassblowing studio and was anxious to take the Intro to Glassblowing class. It's a much sought-after course, and although he wasn't able to get into it immediately, I was. As I got to know Tom Krieger, I introduced him to Jackson. And at the time, Jackson wasn't certain about his life's direction, so Tom and I encouraged him to take art classes other than glassblowing. Although he took a painting course and was eventually able to get into the glassblowing class, sculpture was his thing. Jackson had finally found out what he was really good at. Something about welding and bending the hot metal appealed to his classic manly man side. At the time of his passing, he was constructing an axis deer, not unlike those he'd loved to hunt in his grandpa's land in Texas. He was giving this class assignment his all, technically and artistically. It was the best thing he'd done. Everything about it was impressive, from the scale to the way the welds replicated the deer's axis spots. The deer is truly a piece of my friend. Jackson was generous with everyone and respectful of everyone, regardless of their background. He always shared what he had with others. Jackson also valued spending time with good people, those seeking to do just the right thing, whether that's helping the less fortunate or just holding open a door. Jackson wanted it to be and wanted others to be positive influences in this world. This new art center, built to bear his name, will fulfill his mission in ways we can't begin to imagine. It's a perfect legacy for Jackson Dinsdale. I'll give the podium to Teresa.
Thank you, Kyle. My name is Teresa Drogi. I'm a senior history and psychology major, originally from Aurora, Colorado. As vice president of Hastings College Student Association and a member of the SA Executive Council, I am pleased to announce that the Student Association will contribute $21,000 from its capital improvement fund towards the construction of the Jackson Dinsdale Art Center. Many of us on the SA Executive Council knew Jackson and felt this gift would be a great way to honor him and make a long-lasting contribution to the college. As much as students love the traditional feel of our campus, we are also very excited when a new facility is built at Hastings College. The Jackson Dinsdale Art Center will be a modern, fun facility in which future students can learn, study, and hang out. Although the building will not be completed by the time that we graduate, my colleagues on the Student Association Executive Council and I look forward to seeing this investment grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for sharing your personal stories about Jackson and your perspective as a Hastings College art student. We appreciate that. Thank you, Teresa, and to the Student Association Executive Council. Your generous gift toward the facility's construction is just amazing and really a statement for all of us. And we appreciate the generosity and commitment that the Student Association and its members have made. Thank you. For information about the Jackson Dinsdale Art Center, please visit the Hastings College website at hastings.edu/Art Center. To close, I am so grateful for the opportunity to have known Jackson Dinsdale and to be able to honor him in this way. I thank you all for coming out today and being part of this press conference. We really appreciate it. It shows tremendous support for what we're here to do today and a tremendous honor for Jackson. And we just look forward to inviting you back to the grand opening. We know it will be a very festive occasion. Thank you all. We appreciate it.